Recording in progress.
I'd like to call this regular Bayfield Town Board meeting to order for Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg.
Here.
Trustee Taylor. Trustee Lyon.
Here.
Trustee Ackerman.
Here.
Trustee Trujillo.
Here.
Trustee McLaurin. And Mayor Ah.
Here. All rise for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up is conflicts of interest. Does the board have any conflicts of interest?
Yes, I have a conflict on the Hope Academy.
As do I.
Yeah, I also have, I'll recuse on that one, and also on Lakeside RV.
And I am curious to know if I need to recuse myself as well, because my children go to Hope.
I believe that the applicant indicated that he thought that you would recuse yourself based on that.
Next up is the general public input for any items not on the action agenda.
Here or just on
Yeah, no, up there at the mic, please, and state your name.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Stephen Katzer. Thank you for letting me speak here tonight. I'm a member. I'm representing the community over at Mini Mansions Mobile Village. We are actually, the mobile home park has been in the same family for about 50 years, and they are getting ready to sell it. So we are trying to work with a company called Thistle to help us begin a resident-owned community. And with their partnering with Rock USA, they're trying to help us get this going. They streamline the process, and that's to help us buy it, keep it affordable. So we're kind of here to ask for your help and your support. We're attempting to get this done. So once we get it done, we're gonna be able to buy it, but we're gonna need help with like subsidies, grants, if there's anything like that. We also some guidance from the city council on how to help keep our community, how to keep our homes. So it's one of the things that we're working. If you guys have any way to help us, we would greatly appreciate it. This group has done 3 communities, 2 in Durango, 1 in Hermosa already this year. And they just got done closing one in Dolores. Same thing, to take a mobile home park and turn it into a resident-owned community. So it keeps the low-income housing, keeps people coming in and jacking up our interest and our rates and stuff. So if there's anything you can do to help us, we would greatly appreciate it, and we ask for your help if you can. Guidance, support, or any type of other help. Okay.
If you need something, you can contact our staff.
Perfect. Okay.
And then if things come up, then just come on back in and
Awesome.
give us a shout.
We have to wait till these guys pull the trigger on it and get it going, so you guys have information on that, but we can just contact this. Is there a number on here we can contact, or?
I don't know which paper you got.
I just got the main town hall paper.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, guys.
yeah.
Thank you. And good luck.
Good luck, yeah.
Lucy Stewart. I'm here really kind of concerned with the fact that you have new people sitting on the board. We all knew the election was coming. We all knew that there was going to be new people on the board somewhere along the line. And yet, you are asked tonight to make some big decisions with no training, which I find that just appalling that you guys are thrown out just in the open and to make a decision. I'm not saying that you can't make the decision, but I just feel that without the proper training, I feel like it's like a big catastrophe, and you're setting it up for disaster tonight. But I wish you guys well. I know you're strong, and I know you guys can think this through. And then again, I'm back for week 13 with that pickup on my subdivision. It's now been pushed into the lawn and over where the water would run if we get flooded out. We've endured 2 big old parties on 2 Friday nights and a Saturday night with no police in sight. We've had honking of the cars. We've had motorcycles starting. We've had lawnmowers starting. We have even had them doing wheelies up at the Baptist Church parking lot. This is the one rental house in our subdivision, and we have to deal with all of that. And I don't know where it's going to start or where it's going to end, but people in my subdivision, I've been talking to them, and everybody's ticked off because they feel like the city doesn't want to do their job. But good luck, guys. I hope you guys have been able to go through all these big pages of the work for tonight.
Good evening, Mayor, Trustees. Brad Blake with the Pine River Commons Project. I just wanted to stop in and basically give an update. Pine River Commons is very busy with vertical construction on 2 buildings, and that would be 9 units. We're sold out on all the other units that are completed, and we have a couple thousand feet of curb, gutter, and sidewalk that we're in the process of pouring for the town of Bayfield, and then later in the summer we'll pave all of that open road that you see. So I welcome you to the board and encourage you to come by, reach out to me. We'd love to have you come by and look at what's going on at the Pine River Commons. And I know Trustee Nyberg and Mayor have been by and know the project, but I invite the rest of you to come by. It's a great housing project. First 3 units that you drive in are all police officers. We have teachers, we have nurses, we have exactly who the project was meant for, people who want to work in our community and stay in our community and live in our community. So just wanted to update you on that. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'd be happy to show you the project and kind of what all's going on there. But thank you all, and thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Brad.
Brian Blanchard, 627 Louisiana Drive. I just want to kind of breach a subject with you, because you're new to the board. Been working with Mark Robinson, who has also been working with Mr. Waters a little bit, about a couple things related to the Master Park program, that we came fairly close to getting that thing passed. I think it'll help the community if we do eventually get it passed. One of the things that was kind of high on the list was opening up the river for access for fishing and boating and other activities that are essential and very popular in all size towns. I've been working with Mark about some volunteers that would be happy to help out in opening up 2 sections to begin with. One is right behind the rodeo grounds. It is town-owned property. It's a really nice, beautiful piece right on the river trail there. just to the south of the bridge on Bayfield Parkway. The other piece is right behind Eagle Park. Heavily used, not cleaned up. So I think between those two pieces, we can show the public that we can still move forward with some of these projects that are very high on the want list of our citizens. Not going to cost much money at all, and to show good faith on the town's part. The other is a dog park, dedicated dog parks. Obviously, that's a work in progress. There's money involved with that project, but again, high on the list. Put it out to next door. I had 690 inquiries. That's about a third of our population on one subject. It's a big thing. So again, I've got bids coming in on fencing and whatnot. I will get that over to Mark Robinson, but please be aware these are a couple of things we can do to move forward, to show the citizens in good faith that we can do some things and get this park project moving in all of its aspects. We've been doing surveys for, I don't know, 10 years, 12 years. People want these changes. Town's growing. So I'm just bringing it up to you because it's going to come back to you at some point. Mr. Waters, I'm sure, is well aware of it. Mark is working on it, and there's volunteers. I had 48 people contact me directly about helping out. So that's not a bad thing. I mean, we've never had that before. So just be aware of it, and I'm coming back to you at some point for some support, not only on these projects, but probably for the Master Park program again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, David Black, 606 Buck Highway. See my neighbor up there. We've never met in person. Nice, yeah, good fences. Welcome. Glad to see we have new blood up there. Might be more like offerings to the gods. One complaint, and then I'm going to hang it up for the evening. We have cleanup in the springtime every year, and we had cleanup dumpsters available last week. I found out about them about noontime on Saturday. I'm certain that they were already filled up, and I would not have had time to get together all the crap that I need to get rid of. Durango does curbside pickup for residents, and Bayfield's certainly getting large enough to where I think we could give that some thought, because we all have more crap than we know what to do with at times, and certainly we can't put it all in our little 4x5 dumpsters that they pick up once a week. I mean, I took a culvert out this last week that I have no idea where I'm going to put it, but it needs to go away someplace. I also have 3 piles of brush that are hazards, and there again, a burn pile would be a good thing. And I think everybody in the town would agree so. So at any rate, give these things some thoughts. Thanks for your service. I'm glad you're here.
Mary Benson. I am here in this part of the conversation because it's related to what's on the agenda, but not specifically. It's related to the differences between what these developers and people are proposing and how they're following all the guidelines for the Planning Commission. And I have been to many meetings of the Planning Commission and many town meetings, and I'm learning a lot about the differences between town responsibilities and developer responsibilities and Planning Commission and town staff and all of you. So I've said this before, but I want to say it again. When I read through all of the proposals, and when I read through, the questions from the Planning Commission and the trustees and things, I don't think that you guys are not doing your job per se. I think that there's something missing, though. when I read through them, the traffic studies always say no issue. They always say it's going to be fine. They always say there's no impact. When I read through them, they say the stormwater is not an issue. It's going to be fine. However, we had a drought this past year, but there's been ongoing stormwater issues. And I think there is going to be significant traffic issues. So I pulled up the Planning Commission used to write up, their progress on all of their developments, and there's hundreds and hundreds of housing units, townhomes, RV parks, schools. I'm talking about really just this side of the highway. We are going to have issues, and there's going to be a lot of traffic. Already at the 160 and the 521, it's more impacted than it used to be. When you're waiting there at that light, there's not very much road there for people to come out, right? The RV park is supposed to go in right there. We have Mustang Crossing, we have Pine River Commons, we have Cinnamon Heights, we have the unit that's going behind Lupine off of Orchard, 59 units. These are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homes or townhomes or whatever. There's going to be a lot of people, there's going to be a lot of traffic. So when they do the individual studies, it doesn't seem like it's a comprehensive plan, because it may be fine for the 34 cars here or the 15 cars here, but when you get them all coming out the same roadways and trying to get to the school, the primary school, and out through South Mesa, off Clover, there's only one light that will allow you out. And so when I come home and when I think about all of these developments, I think about the traffic impact. I think about the impact to the town for infrastructure, for capital improvements. There's no way the roadways, the parks, the maintenance, all of that is not going to be impacted. And then the town is going to be, incurring extra costs that we currently are not able to. We don't have capacity right now for the recreation that, all the kids that are coming in and things like that. So these things concern me, and it seems like there needs to be a more comprehensive look at these things. And I do see, the different reasons why trustees can approve or disapprove, and why planning commissioners can approve or disapprove. And one of them is about the impact to capital improvements, to the neighborhood and things like that. And so there's another one on safety. And when we've talked about the Clover area in particular, we've talked about the traffic that gets backed up there. We've talked about there's no indicator for the children crossing that main road right there at Clover for the primary school. And so I think there's going to be costs that happen, and I think there needs to be a more comprehensive look at what the impacts are to all of the developments going in the area. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public input?
Okay, this is Jason, Winslow, 606 Bill Ranch. I have a couple comments. First thing I'd like to comment about is we recently hired a company out of Utah to seal our streets. And for years, we've been hired a company that was local. We would hire the high school kids, give them a job, earn money in this town. That money then would be spent in our town, which is tax dollars back to our town, make improvements in our town. This year we were with the Utah company. They didn't stay in Bayfield. They didn't eat in Bayfield. They brought their lunch to Bayfield. So all those tax dollars were going to another town. We need to look at that. They may have been the cheapest one, but I guarantee you those high school kids did a better job on what I see on the road. And also the company that we used to hire was the main sponsor of the 4th of July parade. Now I see people from we're asking for people to sponsor the parade. So I think that was a loss for our community, our town, and lots of tax dollars. The other thing I got is the traffic. I think there's major traffic issues coming in this town if we don't take action now. And now's the time to fix these problems. Everything's getting more expensive. We fix things now for the future, because we don't need another primary school issue, high school issue. We're asking for accidents, problems in our town, and we need to fix those things now. The other comment I had is the last meeting we had, one of the staff members got up, said that they could not afford the time to apply for grants for our community. Instead, they're gonna raise rates to pass on that cost to the community. When you're a public official or on public staff, your job is to do the right thing for the community. And by telling everybody that you don't have time to apply for a grant, which is free money to our community, that helps our community grow, kids do recreational activities, I think you should probably resign, to be honest with you. I think we really need to take a look at what we're doing in the town and make sure we're keeping our tax dollars here. And we're doing the right thing for our community now and in the future, which is probably table a lot of the agenda tonight. So all of you that are newcomers on the board, which I appreciate you stepping up, have time to diligently read those documents, make the correct decision for now and in the future. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Stephen DeGennaro. I'm with the Mini Mansions Mobile Home Park. I just wanted to make one thing, just a clarification, that when we get this process forward, we will have the same amount of mobile homes in our park that's been there. And this place has been a mobile home park for 50 years, serving the community, people that are disabled, people that are retired, and also people that work in the community. And it's the same amount of people on 390 Dakota Drive. And it's, we're not going to add much, we're not going to be adding an impact to the community. We're going to be a positive impact. It's not going to be increasing, you know, the amount of traffic issues. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, that it was understood that we're not part of any expansion. We're trying to keep our 35 units so we can continue to be a part of this community. And, you know, we love being here. This is one of the things that why we're here. A lot of the people that couldn't make it were working because, you know, they're a lot of us are low income. So anyway, thanks for your time and welcome to the new people. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public input?
Good evening. My name's Buck Taylor. Jason, I want to thank you for breaching the subject. I was just come here to listen, but thought I'd speak up since I had a little bit of support. I am the owner of Sasquatch Seal Coating, and if you want to look at it from a scorned bidder perspective, you may do that, but I was the low responsible bidder locally. Another person in Durango was right behind me, and I'd shake his hand if he got awarded, but not being awarded when we do everything here for the community and we've lived here our whole lives and we spend our dollars here, it hurts. Take it personal. Like I said, lose to another local person, I'll shake their hand, or another responsible bid, I'll shake their hand, be happy to have the work. But the work isn't being performed to spec. Read through the specs and look at the people doing the work. Just not being performed to spec. And if we can't bid to the spec, anybody can underbid us. So I don't miss the irony that the town is looking for local sponsors to sponsor the 4th of July parade, and many of them, guys, are telling you no, because that support isn't coming back. So wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public input? Okay, close that part of the meeting. Has the board had a chance to look over the agenda?
Yes.
We need to make a motion to table that one.
No. You have to recuse.
He's missed that.
Josh has to say on that.
On what? I'm not talking about Cinnamon Heights needs to be tabled. I think you just missed what I said. No problem. Can you make a motion to table that? Go ahead.
I'll motion to table the Cinnamon Heights real estate contract in ordinance number 518.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Why are we tabling that one?
Dustin?
Why are we tabling that?
Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees, these folks have been negotiating with us to purchase that property as per the agreement that we had with them earlier. This is the affordable housing we're talking
Right.
about. And they weren't ready to go take the
Oh, okay.
contract before the council yet, so this was at their request.
Do you guys understand that?
No, we cannot hear.
Should we explain it? Would you like to?
I can speak even louder if you'd like me to.
Please.
Okay, well, because that doesn't work. What we have is we have a contract with a group of folks that are building out in Cinnamon Heights. It is an affordable housing project that started several years ago. Part of that gives them the option to buy the property afterward to build a minimum of 15 affordable housing units on that property. That was part of the federal grant that the town received several years ago. We've gotten to the point now where the infrastructure, that's the stuff underground and the roads and things, are completed. And they're ready to get started building affordable houses and houses on that site. So in order to do that, they have to buy that now from the town, pay for that property, and then they move forward. We're currently negotiating with those folks. We thought we had a contract ready. They asked us to hold off because they're still looking into some things. So this was pulled at their request.
What's affordable? What's the price, what's affordable?
It's, according to the grant that we received, it's anything from 120% of area median income down to generally 80% of area median income. That's the criteria that's set by the Department of Local Government, Local Affairs. That's the state agency that oversees the federal grant we have. So they basically set that based upon the income levels in each specific area. It's not anything we have any control over, but it's set at the state level. And so they have to build at least 15 that are considered affordable. So under 120% AMI. So that's what the affordable definition is. And it's set by federal and state government. We basically follow what they require us to do. So it's under the control of DOLA's Division of Housing, which is out of Denver.
Is that county-based?
No, it is not.
It's town-based?
Yes. The infrastructure and the grant was received by the town of Bayfield. I believe
And the grant was used to put the infrastructure in.
Put the infrastructure in, yes, sir.
For on the land. And in order to do that, the town had to buy the land. Now, this was a decision made by boards before us and mayors before us and managers before us. So they bought the land, got the grant, built the infrastructure on the land that you see if you drive over there behind the Conoco. You see there's sidewalks, there's electricity, there's sewage. Now the builder is going to buy that land back, and they have to build 15 low-income houses on that land. That's the deal. And they were going to have a contract, but they don't have it yet. So we're gonna table it till the next meeting. Is everybody caught up to speed?
Still like to know where the $750,000 is.
Do you wanna explain that, or should we?
What was the question?
For $750,000
They're gonna
Supposed
pay,
to come from the county. I want to know where that is.
oh, the county said.
We didn't get it.
They said, screw you guys.
Well, and the thing is, now see, this is where you guys need to step up as a board, because, honestly, because we all voted for that sales tax, and that was supposed to be part of that sales tax.
What happened is, the prior town manager and the prior mayor did not get that 750 in writing. Not on the dotted line. They got it.
Regardless.
Well, yeah,
You got that
but,
regardless.
so what am
I
I
mean,
supposed to do?
Work on our behalf to get the things done.
All right. Anyway, there's nothing we can do about it.
So we got a motion up in a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Lyon?
Yes.
Trustee Ackerman?
Yes.
Trustee Trujillo?
Yes.
And Mayor Ah.
Yes. Next up is the public hearing for the Pine River Centennial Rotary Special Event Liquor License for the block parties.
All right. Well, I was led to believe that there would be a representative from there tonight, but I can definitely go ahead with that. So, as we know, the chamber has disbanded. The chamber was the one that historically would put in for that special event liquor license for the block parties. We are having two this year, one in June and one in August, the first Thursdays. So Rotary has stepped in, and they are going to put in for the liquor license, and then they are going to work with a nonprofit group for the proceeds of that. They do have some overhead, of course, they have to pay for, and you'll see in your packet, one of that overhead is the insurance, listed the town as additional insured. Also on there, I do believe they're the second block party, they're working with Friends of the Library. And I do believe the first one, last I heard, when we met with them, was Volunteers of America. So you have before you the special event liquor license, all the paperwork and fees have been paid. And we just need board approval for me to sign that and send it to the state. And we can open the public comment.
Does the board have any questions for Dustin? I'll open this up for public comment. Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public comment out. Next up is the Pine River Centennial Rotary Special Event Liquor License Action Agenda. Looking for a motion.
I'll motion to approve it as presented.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Lyon?
Yes.
Trustee Ackerman?
Yes.
Trustee Trujillo?
Yes.
And Mayor Ah.
Yes. Next is the public hearing for the Hope Christian Academy, which we don't have a quorum for, so we're going to continue this.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question on that. How will we have a quorum if 4 are gone and there's only 3? They can vote.
I'm working on it. I have a plan to appoint another person under the relevant provision of the land use code to get a quorum at a later date. But I just need to make sure that everyone who we think is going to be available is available, so it doesn't get continued again. And I will be in touch with the applicant's attorney in the next couple days to finalize the date for that hearing.
Thank you for that.
So we need a motion to continue? Or can we even vote?
We cannot vote. I don't believe you have a quorum to table it, so the matter, you just won't take any action on it, and we'll set it on a future agenda. So
Can we state on the record who's going to be recusing for that, just so you know?
I don't think that we need to do that right now, but we will make sure that there is a record of who has recused, and who is not recused, and why we think we have a disinterested quorum before we go forward with the hearing.
I captured the recusals at the very beginning, so it'll state that in the record. And there's a real subtle difference between tabling and continuing. Tabling, you have to have a quorum and have to do a motion and take a vote. Continuing means it'll go to the next agenda until a quorum decision is reached, and it can either be tabled or a decision can be made.
Any other questions from the board? Next up is the public hearing for the Lakeside RV Use by Review preliminary plan. Dustin?
No, I'm right here. I guess I need some clarification. Mayor All, were you on the planning commission when this was heard?
The mics don't seem to be working.
Hello? No, it doesn't seem to be working. I'll be right back, too. Can't get any closer unless I'm kissing it. How about now? Okay. So, yeah, some clarification. Mayor All, you may have to recuse yourself for Lakeside and Clover, seeing as though you were on the planning commission when those were heard. Is that true? I know that it was on the planning commission.
I was on the planning commission when it came through, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what we do, that's the way everything's set up at the present.
Okay.
But the mayor is always on the planning commission.
Yeah. I'm trying to fix that. Okay, here we go. But yeah.
If I need to step down, I'll step down. Whatever.
Lawyer?
Yeah.
I think it's safer if you do recuse. This is a problematic provision in the land use code whereby we have the mayor sitting on the planning commission, and then decisions come, then they vote on that, and then it comes back around for another round of review. That's something we're working on changing, but I think in abundance of caution, it would make sense for you to recuse if you voted on those matters when you were on the commission.
Yeah.
Okay, you get the meeting.
Yeah, so where are we?
Lakeside,
Lakeside,
5A.
5A.
No, 4A.
4A.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Public hearing on the Lakeside RV Park Use by Review preliminary plan.
All right. Derek Slocum, town planner. As you said, is the Bayfield Lakeside RV Resort. It's a proposed development on approximately 22 acres. It's located east of the intersection of Buck Highway and Bayfield Parkway. The property is owned and will be developed by Ironton Holding. The project originally began back in 2022, when the owner initiated discussions with the town of Bayfield in regards to zoning, annexation, and possible future development of the site. In 2023, the town completed the annexation of the property and rezoned it to a transition zone, which allows for a broader mix of uses. This application, the applicant is proposing a preliminary plan that includes a use by review request for the RV park, duplex residential units, commercial and retail uses. The site is bounded by Highway 160 to the north, Bayfield Parkway, and a residence to the south and east, residential and vacant land to the south, and some sparsely developed residential and wooded vacant land to the west. A little bit of history on this. The original initiation of the annexation was approved by the Board of Trustees in June of 2022. It was then later determined that Ironton did not own all the properties, included in the original application, After that issue was resolved, the annexation and initiation was reconsidered and approved by the Board of Trustees on July 19th, 2022. The annexation and initial zoning were subsequently approved by the Planning Commission in August of 2022 and by the Board of Trustees of September of 2022. In September of 2024, the applicant submitted materials for a use by review and subdivision application. However, the application did not proceed due to a public hearing before the Planning Commission due to some outstanding issues, which included questions regarding potential existing rights-of-way within the project area and the need for review and approval of the wetland delineation by the Army Corps of Engineers. In January of 2026, the applicant provided a legal interpretation of the right-of-way issue, which staff has accepted. The Army Corps of Engineers approved the wetland delineation, and the applicant submitted responses to prior agency comments along with revised application materials. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on February 10th of 2026, and they voted 6-0 to table the application until that March Planning Commission hearing. The Planning Commission wanted the applicant to address the following items, which they're on page 3 of the staff report. I don't know what it is in the application packet itself. But some examples are provide additional details regarding the parking and site access, clarify the proposed access from Pine Street, confirm whether the town was prepared to improve the Pine Street intersection to support the proposed access, address any outstanding irrigation issues, excuse me, resolve the shared driveway issue, and address street maintenance concerns, including a contingency plan if the HOA fails to maintain or plow the streets. So at the March 10th Planning Commission meeting, the applicant submitted an updated on-street parking plan, which included removing several proposed duplex units to accommodate the additional parking. The applicant's attorney also provided a letter addressing concerns related to the Pine Street access, street maintenance, HOA matters, ditch, and irrigation and water rights. A certificate from the Schroeder Irrigation Ditch Company was also submitted. So based on these revisions and the applicant's response to the prior concerns, the Planning Commission determined that the outstanding issues had been adequately addressed and voted 5-0 to recommend approval of that application. So this is a preliminary plan review. So per the land use code, the preliminary plan shall be reviewed using the land use code section 3-5. And so at this stage, the following technical reports are required. The reports include a traffic impact report, road plans and profiles, preliminary drainage report, irrigation control and grading plan, geotechnical report, utility infrastructure analysis report, utility plans prepared in accordance with the regulations of the appropriate service provider, preliminary landscape plan for the subdivision, street lighting plan, and any appropriate environmental clearances as needed. So for the use by review, per the land use code, the use by review shall be reviewed using the land use code section 3-11. The applicant is proposing an RV park, campground, duplex residential, and commercial retail uses, which are all considered through a use by review in the transition zone district. The Planning Commission evaluated the application, site plan, all the comments, public testimony, and other criteria for approval, and they conditionally approved the use by review. The Planning Commission's action was based on the evidence presented, compliance with the adopted standards, regulations, and policies, and the criteria for approval and other guidelines. For the comprehensive plan review, the subject property is designated mixed use on the southern portion and general commercial on the northern portion. The mixed use designation permits sales tax generating uses allowed under the general commercial designation, while also allowing some residential development. So this request does support the following comprehensive plan goals. Goal 2, which is to encourage infill development in proximity to amenities and services. Goal 4, diversify housing types to meet the evolving population demands. Goal 8, to attract and retain and expand economic opportunities for Bayfield residents and the local economy. Goal 10, to promote tourism that highlights Bayfield's natural, recreational, cultural, and historical resources. and Goal 20, which requires new developments to provide parks and recreational facilities for their residences. The preliminary plan was sent out to the referral agencies, and their comments and the applicant's responses to the comments are attached to the staff report packet. So some future, if this continues on, so if this preliminary plan is approved, the next step for this project is the final plan or plat process. The final plan process provides for a review of the final engineering plans, the subdivision improvement agreement, and any other legal agreements. If the final plans are consistent with the conditions of the preliminary plan approval, town staff can approve the final plat. So some of the reports that will be included in the final plan submittal process is the final drainage report, final traffic study, final geotechnical report, final utility construction drawings, a signed copy of the subdivision improvement agreement, landscape plans, lighting plans, and any final environmental clearances. So based on the information that was available at the time the staff report was created, the Planning Commission and staff do recommend approval of the preliminary plan and the use by review request for an RV park campground, duplex residential, and commercial retail uses within the transitional land use zone for the Bayfield Lakeside RV Park. And that would be subject to the conditions that are found on page 8 of the staff report and backed by the findings that are found on page 9 of the staff report. Page 10 of your staff report has the possible motions for this. So you have the alternative to approve, deny, table, or remand it back to the Planning Commission. So that's my presentation. The applicant, agents, and their team they're here to present as well. And so
you guys want to present?
Good evening, Lauren Davis with Reynolds Ash and Associates. Everyone can hear me all right? Okay. Thank you for reviewing our project. I know this may be the first time seeing this for some of you, so I want to give an overview, highlight a few things that are important to us and the project, and then certainly we're available to answer any questions. We are very excited about this project. Obviously, as Derek mentioned, we've been working on it for the last 3 or 4 years with Ironton. We have a great team. Ironton, the developer, Reynolds Ash is architect and structural. We have a great team of civil engineers with PST, planners, as well as our MEP team and also environmental consultants with SME. Obviously, there's a lot to deal with and tackle on this project to get through subdivision. So our team has been a tremendous help. Next slide, please. Thank you. So one of the important parts of this project is just the uniqueness of this site, hence the transitional zone. So 21 acres, there's not a right angle on this site. There's 4 or 5 different, characters and sides to this. Obviously, to the north, we face Highway 160, a noisy, busy corridor. We have a residence immediately to the east of us. Bayfield Parkway to the southeast, a busy corridor again. We are catty corner to downtown Bayfield with a lot of commerce, a lot of economic activity. We have a little bit of residential to the south, and then we essentially have Los Pinos River and open space and woodlands to the west. So very different characteristics with this site, and I think over the last few years we have studied this, and ultimately we feel like our project really responds to those different characteristics, and we are proposing a mix of uses that obviously relate and help sort of buffer different parts of the project. And currently, obviously, there is an RV and trailer park on this site. So I think that's an important consideration as well. Next slide, please. So what we are proposing, again, a mix of uses. I have a handful of slides and I'll kind of walk you through each of the zones. But overall, we have the RV park, the lodging use, with about 95 spaces and a mix of ranges and sizes. We have a little bit of a commercial corridor with some retail. So there are some uses that are common to the RV. There is residential, and there's also some existing residential on this site. And then we have a large part of this project that's going to be amenity space, green space, et cetera. So with this project, over the last few years, we've made a number of revisions, and part of that has come from other planning staff and meetings that we've had. I do think it's improved the project. We've scaled back on some areas and just refined this. Again, we're trying to make the right fit and address everyone's concerns. And as of right now, we have addressed all the engineering comments to date. So I think that's a big part of going through this preliminary subdivision. But we feel comfortable we've met the LUDC requirements and the town's expectations related to some of those criteria. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to point out a few things with each of these zones. So I've highlighted the eastern part of the site. This is sort of the commercial side, right? So this is catty corner to downtown Bayfield. This includes some smaller parcels or smaller pads. Commercial uses, we have a general store and some retail. We haven't defined that yet, but we're opening that up to future tenants. This is an important part of that corridor, so we will improve this with street trees, with sidewalks. We envision this being a nice pedestrian landscaped path. This is an extension of Bayfield Parkway. You know, this is what you want. You want to extend that commercial activity. When people come into town, you want it to be inviting and you want it to be welcoming. So this is what this is how we've addressed this side of the site. We've consolidated entries, so there's 2 defined entries here. We are working with the shared easement, and we'll talk about that later for access to the residents. But we're also cleaning up some of the connectivity. So again, right now there's intersections that don't align. Part of this project, obviously, we're addressing that and just cleaning it up to meet best practices. Next slide. This is the southern side of the project. So this is the residential corridor. We are facing adjacent residential uses. So again, we're buffering this, we're layering this project with appropriate uses to respond to what's happening off-site. We have about 22 residential units here. These are smaller units, they're meant to be attainable, but I think again, this can help activate downtown. You're gonna have a lot of people walking to grab dinner, walking to other uses and events. These are just 1 and 2 bedroom condos. We have made some revisions here based on recent feedback, and I'll go through that in a second. But again, this will be landscaped. All of this meets IBC requirements. All of this meets land use code requirements. Next slide. Then this is the lodging component. So again, this is the RV and resort area. We are pushing this up against the highway. This is going to be a resort feel, and it's going to be seasonal. There are limits on stays. I think it's a 90-day maximum for the stay of the RV park tenants. We're exceeding all of the code requirements here. So code says you can actually have up to 15 RV spaces per acre. We're actually sitting at 4.9. We've layered this in terms of buffering it with additional landscaping and vegetation. We've also created a mix of RV sizes, cabins, tent sites, etc. So we feel like this could also be beneficial. So if somebody had family visiting, there's an opportunity here for locals to actually utilize these sites. Again, these will have rules, they will have regulations, and then they also have common uses and services that are right on site to help. Obviously, when people come in, they bring their trailer, there are services here on site to address those needs. Next slide. So then the amenities are another important part of this project. One of the requirements in the LUDC is a 10% minimum landscaping. We're actually at 50% landscaping, and we think that's a huge benefit to this project. And also, this is how we're kind of layering it and buffering some of these uses. So there is an existing pond on the site. We feel like that's worth preserving. It's worth making that a special feature. So we've incorporated it, we've integrated it with other pedestrian paths and connections. So this becomes sort of a central defining separation between the commercial, the residential, and the RV spaces. Next slide. So I wanted to highlight the residential, excuse me. So based on the last meeting with the Planning Commission, we got feedback about that residential corridor. And there were concerns that perhaps there wasn't enough parking, would it become a nuisance, or would there be overflow issues in terms of traffic? So one of the things we wanted to do is we added a couple slides to highlight the unit types, and then we have made some adjustments to improve that area. So you'll see these are small 1 and 2 bedroom units, and all of them have parking underneath. So there are garages associated with each of these. And then next slide. So based on feedback, we've actually massaged this layout. We removed 2 units and we worked in additional guest parking and additional driveway spaces. So this actually highlights, all those little gray boxes are actually potential parking spots. And we do feel like we have exceeded the LUDC code substantially. So essentially, best practices, you might have 2 parking spots for a 2-bedroom unit. We're actually providing 103 spaces total for 22 dwelling units. So that's for the units themselves, plus guest parking, et cetera. And we're trying to work in some additional storage features, et cetera. So we want this to be attractive. We want this to have adequate parking for the Super Bowl nights and other, other events that we heard about. So we feel like this was a wonderful improvement for this part of the project. Next slide, please. So we put together just a handful of renderings. An important thing to note, and I think you can kind of slowly go through each of these. There's a handful of them. We wanted to highlight the scale. There's nothing here that's egregious that doesn't fit within Bayfield. We are making sure that our materials, that the scale of these buildings are appropriate. Most all of these are 1 story, except for the residential where we have 2 stories. Again, we're looking at the figure ground of Bayfield. We're looking at that existing fabric, and we're working in smaller parcels along Bayfield Parkway. We're continuing that pattern, that rhythm of development. And so the scale of these units we feel like is more than appropriate for this part of Bayfield. This is a view of the RV spaces. The LUDC, again, the LUDC has a minimum spacing of 15 feet for every RV spot that you have on site. We actually have 17 to 19 feet of space between each RV. So again, we're not pushing up against any thresholds. We're making sure that this is spaced nicely, that it feels comfortable. We're not trying to jam everything in this. We're well under all the LUD thresholds for this project. This shows a couple of the outer tent sites. And then we have a handful of cabin options, just again, for short-term stay. And again, everything, this is the common building near the pond. Again, we really see that pond as being sort of a center community element, something that's gonna, all the paths will sort of wrap around. The common buildings will activate that area around the pond. And it helps just soften the overall development. In terms of grading and drainage, our civil engineer is here if you have any questions. But I will say We've addressed the LUDC. We're actually improving drainage and conditions on this site. We've met all the requirements for stormwater, and again, the site is no longer irrigated. We've created pathways that align with historical patterns and improve the drainage situation. Parking and traffic. So again, we're meeting the LUDC in terms of all of these different uses and what would be expected for providing off-street parking. And then, as I explained, the residential side, we're going above and beyond with parking there. And then the plat, I wanted to include the plat. Of that 21 acres, we're essentially breaking it up into 5 parcels. So that's part of the subdivision. You can see the commercial corridor has a separate parcel. The existing residence, kind of at the southeast bottom right corner, will be its own parcel. That residential strip on the south, and then the overall RV park. That is how we're breaking up the 21 acres. And I think that's it for the overall presentation. Any questions or comments we'll happily address.
Any questions for me?
I have a couple of questions. The pond, your centerpiece, how do you have water rights? How are you gonna fill it? Is there a ditch over there that I'm unaware of?
So we've worked with the ditch company. We have all the water rights. I think we've worked through all those issues with the ditch company. I think essentially we're going to use that for landscaping and irrigation, and then of course anything, if we exceed that, we would purchase additional water from the city as necessary. But
Are they having you pipe it too? Are they having you pipe the irrigation too?
So the Bean Ditch diversion structure is on the property. So as part of this project, we are piping, we're relocating the Bean Ditch diversion above the pond discharge because the pond will now be designed to function for stormwater as well. And ditch companies don't generally allow stormwater into their irrigation ditches.
Right.
So as part of this project, we're moving the diversion above the outlet for the pond, and we're piping it around back into the Bean Ditch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then my second question, HOA for the units?
yes, we will have an HOA that will manage everything, manage the
Can you
snow
state who you
removal, et
are?
cetera.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Steve
Pardon?
Pavlik with PST Engineering.
And so then my last concern, it looked like the off-street parking, because most people have more than one cars now, it doesn't look like they'd be able to pull it fully into the driveway. Is that just a schematic, or is that how it would be?
So there's a mix of options. On some of those, it's more of a carport, so you can park under the building. And then on other ones, we have provided both a garage and the driveway. So there's a mix of options on that.
So
That's how the
HOA
103.
will oversee that? So
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions on the board?
I know there was a lot of concern about the traffic and the access, especially with big RVs and trucks and whatnot. I'm a frequent RVer, camper as well, and been to several KOAs, and it can get kind of congested at times, especially, they have like certain check-ins and check-outs, like,
Right.
usually kind of like a hotel, 3, 4 o'clock check-in, 10 o'clock check-out, so, are those, issues being addressed, because 3 o'clock around here to 4 is like
Correct.
school's getting out, so, in that area right there by Speedway is already pretty congested at those times, so.
Yeah. Could you go back a couple slides to the parking graphic? We have studied this. One more, yep, right there, right there. I do think we benefit from the seasonal nature of the RV park, and then also in our studies, right, RVers tend to leave a little bit later and arrive at different times, so that helps in the peak and off-peak analysis. And then once they arrive, they're sort of landed there for a few days, and then they can walk, et cetera, or take another vehicle to elsewhere. So what we've done is we've built in some additional queuing on site. And that helps address Bayfield Parkway. So if you notice right here, we actually have 2 lanes where we can queue and stack RVs if there is a peak event. And then as needed, what we've discussed is we can certainly utilize additional space over here. And that keeps everything off of Bayfield Parkway. Again, our engineers, Steve can speak to this, but in terms of turning radiuses, best practices and just making sure people can navigate that turn. We've addressed that. And certainly we have to meet all emergency vehicle, fire truck, turning radiuses, et cetera. But Steve, if you want to offer anything.
Right, yeah, we did, we met with the fire department and we ran fire trucks through the entire site as well as large RVs. And we're pretty confident that we've given enough room for those things. And as far as, the stacking, so we provided that 2 lanes of stacking for RVs. Obviously, you can't design for everything, like maybe the 4th of July or something. It'd have to be a functional thing where staff said, we're not going to just go pick a site and come back and check in to get people off the road. But I think for 90% of the time, the stacking would be adequate.
Now, where's the shared road? The one that the house uses, the
Yep,
house.
so the shared road is right here on the right.
Is that part of your entrance, or is?
Yep, so if you notice, our intersection is essentially right where that driveway is right here. This is this ghosted white area. Their driveway sort of goes straight north, and it's actually a tight angle. We're making a 90-degree angle, and essentially we're proposing just a better connection here. And I think we can still define that and improve it, but yeah, that current driveway right there.
As far as like wastewater and whatnot, sewage, does our public works have, like, enough, I don't know, the word, yeah, to process, like.
Yeah, there's capacity to serve.
Capacity. Okay. Sorry, I'm still learning all the terms and lingo, bear with me.
Does anybody else on the board have any questions? All right, let's go to public input. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's quick. Again, Steve DiGennaro, and my question is the post office congestion, and who's going to regulate that no one's going to start parking there, as far as it's directly across the street. My biggest issue is that congestion is going to make that area, which is already, one way in, one way out, unless the post office decides that they can open up the exit onto, the parkway there, into a two-way, access in and out, and same thing with the entrance. Because that's just going to create more of a cluster of problems.
Yeah, I believe that's why they put the 100 spaces there for the 20 units.
All right, well, I'm just thinking of when flow is going on, that they're, is that something that's even feasible with the U.S. Post Office?
Anybody want, from the project, you want to respond to that? Engineer?
Sure. So we did counts in 2023 at all 3 locations there, including the post office. And what you do is there's programs, and you put the traffic volumes in. So we have the background traffic on Bayfield Parkway. We have the post office traffic, so we know from counts. The counts were in January, so we increased them by 50% to reflect a July peak, because it's busier time in the summer than it is in the winter. And then we projected counts out 20 years. to 2046, because that's industry standard. The town of Bayfield doesn't really have, like many smaller towns, don't really have traffic standards, so we kind of defaulted to a CDOT template on what's required in a traffic study, and they make you look 20 years out. So we did the same thing in this case. And all three intersections, it's kind of like grades in school, A through F. A, B, and C are decent. D's starting to get marginal, and then E and F are obviously not, they're failures. And all the intersections, all three of them function at a C or higher through 2046 with the project traffic and the post office traffic. So fairly confident. I looked at the numbers here from the counts. During the AM peak, there were 22 cars, and the PM peak, there were 50. So that's not even a car a minute. So it's busy, but it's not that much traffic.
Are we going to address the speed limit at all? I know it's, I believe 35 through there now. Are we going to try to reduce that at all? Or I suggest that we reduce it to 25. Because coming around that corner by Speedway and those intersections, it gets a little scary sometimes. So
Right.
I care about my fellow community members, and I mean, we just had a accident that's not even seen for 30 hours just here this last weekend. Little girl lost her parents, so I don't know. I care about people, and I don't want to see people hurt.
Sure, that's something more of a town thing. Like we don't have a position on whether the speed limit's lowered or not.
Yeah.
Right. And generally, again, just diverting to CDOT or actually like federal standards, what needs to generally happen to lower a speed limit is you do a speed study, and it has to actually show that the people are going at a lower speed, which generally doesn't. I know your point, you want people to slow down, but the way like the CDOT and the federal government and things work, the FHWA, is you have to do a speed study, and then sometimes it backfires, and I've seen communities where they had to raise the speed limit because the 85th percentile speed is actually higher than the posted speed limit. So it's a tricky thing. It's not just like we want to lower it, let's lower it. It can be done that way, but then it turns into more of a political thing than an engineering thing.
And Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the Board of Trustees, that is something that's in your purview, along with, there are other issues that we're considering that have been brought up in the past, keeping people from parking on Bayfield Parkway. Those are all things that are in your purview as a governing board for this town. So as those conditions change, and they do change, they go up sometimes, they go down sometimes throughout, whatever happens in the community, it's the responsibility of the town to, based on safety or based on need, whatever the case is, to change those conditions as we go along. We're currently looking at the no parking issue, for example, because we know that that could be a problem. And so, I anticipate in the future here, we're probably going to bring something before you to at least address some of the parking on the parkway. We've also got other issues in that there's big chunks of the parkway that aren't in the town limits, even though they're in the town. So we're going to be addressing that as well in the upcoming months. So just understand that the way that our current corporate limits are, sometimes you assume that it's in the town limits, and most of this is right here by Town Hall. But there are big chunks of the parkway and chunks of other parts of town, like that intersection that we've been referring to, that aren't in the city limits right now, and therefore we don't have a lot of control over it until we annex it. So those are things that you control as a Board of Trustees for the town, and we'll be bringing options before you to consider to address those things, because we don't have control over them until they're within our town. And that's just another of the issues we're looking at. Fortunately, this area has been annexed, and it's, this is something that's under your control, so you could conceivably change speed limits along the parkway in that area, if that's the wish of the council. Generally, we like to do studies on them because they give you options on where those speeds change and where the safety is. That funny intersection that we've got there, and I use funny loosely, it's an accident waiting to happen, so we're going to have to address that too. But a lot of that's not in the city limits. So those are things that we're going to work on first. We've got to get it annexed in. Derek's working on a plan to do that, but it's just some cleanup as the town grows up. We got to do some things in order to allow us to do it. So, thank you. Oops. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question. You guys have that in your control.
We got another comment.
Once again, David Black, 606 Buck Highway. The presentation here was pretty good. And I think that what these people have proposed fits within our community without a doubt. I don't think you should have too much concern with respect to our sewer. I think we have plenty of sewage capacity as our has been indicated. So my one concern was when property was separated, the Schroeder Ditch lateral B serves this area, and the Cusick house ended up without any water rights, and somehow or another I would like to see that addressed so that that house at least is able to water their trees and their grass. Thank you.
Thank you for that segue. My name is, I'll take these off out of courtesy. My name is Leah Lingstrom. I live at 1543 Bayfield Parkway. I rent from the Cusick family. I've lived in this community now for a year. I love this community. I came from the resort community of Minturn, Colorado. I think there's a real concern between vision and reality, idea and execution. I have two concerns that haven't been addressed. One of those, we didn't have any winter this year, so we didn't have any snowpack. I don't see a snow removal plan or a snow storage plan. I also don't see a lighting plan because I also do not see a lighting plan and a snow removal plan. Idea and execution, vision and reality, there is a lot to be done before what you guys have shown on the slide actually shows up. I lived in a community and grew up in Minturn, Colorado for 20 plus years. There was a townhome complex that showed slides just as pretty as yours, had a great vision, but the execution of that was an enormous failure to the community with no snow removal. The setbacks got pushed, things got pushed, the buildings got pushed, and then when it actually lands up in the community, it's not what you guys originally put on the plan. I would like to you guys, instead of, I know you've already worked hard at scaling back, I quite honestly, we have outdoorsy across the highway. Why do we need another RV park? I mean, we've got an RV park. I think what this community needs is more community of permanency and not transiency. This community struggles with employment, with labor, and you just go up and down Mill Street, and you guys talk about the retail and the little stores, and I think that's great. But go up Mill Street, look at how many empty buildings we currently have that we don't have occupied, or being redone, or remodeled, or to live the face of the community that we currently have. So I just want to caution going forward. Second of all, one of the things that has not been addressed since I live at 1543 Bayfield Parkway is that I'm going to lose my driveway. And that house that has sat on that property for 5, 6 generations, their grandparents, their parents, and the family has owned it for 6 generations. They originally owned the entire property and now just own the big house there. The apple orchard, which is next door, has been sold off, and I don't know where it all sits, but there is still a home there, and that is the driveway to that home. So that home will be impacted by the access to what you guys want to execute. So I know you guys are coming in with a big plan. I love big ideas, but I'm very, very concerned about the execution, and I'm very concerned about the reality from the vision. So do not put the gas pedal on this. Just don't. This is a community I've lived in for a year, and I've grown up in a community where I have seen when developers come in and rush things through and the impact on the locals and the community in general. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Minturn, Colorado. It's west of Vail. You can't drive up and down the road there. They promise sidewalks, all kinds of stuff, and the things haven't happened. Affordable housing is $450,000 to $650,000. That's not affordable. So when we talk about affordable housing, I'd like to see a number tied to it, not just the word. So please give serious consideration to not gas pedaling this. I like where it's going, but quite honestly, I don't really see the need for the RV park. We don't want transients. We already have it. I mean, this is a community that needs to be built on stability, not transiency. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Is there any more public input?
This is Jason, 606 Bell Ranch again. Jason Woods. My question to the engineers, can we actually sit at the corner there, Bayfield Parkway, the 8 corners that would come off the highway? Because I understand you got 2 staging lanes there when you turn into the RV park, but without a turn lane there, we're blocking visibility for people at that intersection. And that intersection is busy. I've seen cars back up all the way to the stoplight. Now we're gonna add a 12-foot truck with a 35-foot camper, or 2 or 3 of them, into that intersection. And then on the Bayfield Parkway, with the Buck Highway there, there's accidents that are gonna happen. This is coming from 18 years of experience, transportation industry, where I train drivers to drive safe on the road. That intersection is already dangerous, and I feel like this plan is gonna make it more dangerous. Also, I'd like to know when the study was done, what the peak hours were, because they didn't mention that when you got up talking, oh, 50 cars in the afternoon. Is that at 1 o'clock? Is it 5 o'clock? I drive through that intersection every day, take my kids to school, go to work, and it's dangerous. You can't see far enough down Bayfield Parkway at that corner where there's a car turning left and a car turning right, and we're gonna have big campers, trucks to that intersection for, what, 90 RV spots? It's gonna back up onto the road, even if you have 2 staging lanes. This is coming from somebody that has a truck and an RV and travels around to multiple campgrounds. So, to the board, I'd like you to look at the safety of this plan, make sure we're doing the right thing. We can't congest our town anymore with the traffic, and that's what we're gonna do with this proposal.
Thank you.
Everyone, Jesse Ramirez, 641 North Mountain View Drive. Welcome to the new trustees. Thank you. You guys are really jumping right in. I think a lot of what I want to say has already been said, so I'll just try to add some detail. I agree. I think that the slides in the presentation look really good, and I think there's a lot of really nice things about it, and if it could be executed as such, I think that would be wonderful. I hope some of the landscaping includes those old apple trees, because those are heirlooms that we can't get back when they're cut down. I'm most concerned about the traffic, and particularly at the Buck Highway, County Road 501, 160, or Bayfield Parkway intersection. And that, because of the way the requirements are, didn't have to be studied in the traffic plan. And I think that's a huge oversight. Those 3 gray circles up there are what was required to be studied, and then they also had to look at the signalized intersection at 160 501, but they didn't have to look at the other part of 8 Corners, and that other part of 8 Corners is a giant mess, as everybody has already stated. I just want to read one thing from the traffic plan that says, analysis shows that the queue on the County Road 501 northbound leg will extend beyond the County Road 501 Bayfield Parkway intersection. However, this condition exists with and without project traffic, with the difference in queue length caused by the project traffic being minimal. So maybe the project's not going to contribute much, but it's already a problem. So anything that it adds is adding to an existing problem. I also want to point out that if you are looking for directions to that area on Google Maps, the traffic plan analyzed the eastbound intersection onto Bayfield Parkway and the west end intersection. But if you use Google Maps, it directs traffic from the west to use that signalized intersection. So I think most people that are plugging in directions into their phone that are coming from the west are going to be coming in through this intersection from 501. So it's going to congest that, just like everybody is saying, and I echo all of that. That intersection is terrible for pedestrians and bikers as it is, and that's a huge safety hazard. I just think that developments, when they're done well, can bring a lot to a town, but if they're not done well, they cause a lot of resentment, and I fear that this is just congesting everything more and more, and if we don't address that intersection and make it ready for this big of a development, it's not going to be received well, and it's going to cause lots of problems. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Blanchard, 627 Louisiana Drive. So mine are just questions, not for or against the project at this point. Commercial-wise, how many square feet of commercial are proposed on this project? Under 10,000 square feet? Okay. So you've counted for trucks and whatnot coming, going. How many different buildings is that? Pads?
Right now, there'll be
3 pads? Okay. And the other is this going to be done in phases? And if so, what's your phase plan? What's 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever that might be? Thank you. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
I was curious about the same thing.
Do you want to come back up and address that question? Thank you. Engineer, anyone you can tell us.
Yeah, I think ultimately we might start from the south. That would sort of be the first leg. But I think all of these would happen fairly sequentially. I don't think we anticipate a huge lag in between each of these. But some of that would be up to the contractor in terms of the sequencing and of construction. I wanted to speak to a few things. I know with snow removal, certainly we have to meet town requirements, but again, this is seasonal, so with 50% of the site sort of landscaped and then the other part of the RV park not being used during the winter, certainly we can account for the snow removal and managing that on the site. With lighting, again, that's dictated by the LUDC. And again, we meet best practices, so any light fixtures would all have to be downcast and shielded, meeting dark sky ordinances. And then certainly with the seasonal nature of this, you know, there may be parts of this that are not even illuminated during certain parts of the year, but then most things are on timers now, and all of that is again meeting this part of Colorado's expectation for light pollution, et cetera. In regards to traffic, I'll have Steve speak to that. In general, we've gone above and beyond in terms of our due diligence, right? I think we did 2, 3 traffic studies and at different times. I think keep in mind, this could also be one large residential project. So there's just different ways of looking at this. And is this something that where you have people coming in and out of their homes 365 days a year, 8 a.m., 5 p.m., sort of exacerbating the issues you already have? Again, we feel like sort of our approach to this, the seasonal nature of the uses, and again, just responding to some of these corridors and adjacencies are important to consider. So I'll have Steve speak to the traffic issue, and then I think we'll have Duke speak to the driveway question.
Sure. Let me just try and keep there was a couple of questions in there. So the peak hour, when we did our counts in January on Bayfield Parkway, was about a little over 300, maybe 350 cars. So about roughly 160 cars in each direction. So that's 320 cars combined. If you grow that for July and then even to 20 years, I think I calculated you're up to like 700 combined in both directions. So a 2-lane highway, for example, I looked up on the CDOT website the frontage road to the town of Mancos, US 160 business. It's 2 lanes, kind of narrow shoulders. CDOT's capacity for that road is about 2,000 cars, and that's a lot, granted, but a 2-lane road can support 2,000 cars, even with 20 years of growth. The project and the background traffic, we're at 700. That's like, so that they have this metric called the V to C ratio. It's a volume to capacity ratio. And anything below like a 0.85 is generally acceptable. And in 2046, with the background traffic, plus the growth, plus the project, we're at 0.35. So this section of Bayfield Parkway doesn't have a crazy amount of background traffic on it. As far as the studies, we studied the intersections we were instructed to. With the first study back in 2023, the town's engineer reviewed it. We got some minor comments. We addressed those comments. In around 2025, through the agency referral, We ended up hearing from CDOT, and they wanted us to study the 160 and 501 intersection. We studied that. We submitted it again to the town, who submitted it to their engineer. We submitted it to CDOT, who submitted it to their engineer. And we got approval from both independent reviewing engineers. As far as the two intersections of concern, we were never asked to study those, and that's why they weren't included in the report. So we studied the intersections we were instructed to study. Are there any other questions? Okay.
Hello, my name is Heidi Cusick-Simper. Thank you for hearing me today. I am here representing my family and the property at 1543 Bayfield Parkway. This is our only access, and we do not take what happens here today lightly. If I recall correctly, at the last meeting, the directions were that Ironton would bring you to a determination of the access rights for this project. We submitted documents showing why those rights are not resolved. After reading the town's attorney's memo, it's clear to us that several critical facts were left out. Tonight, my message is simple. The record is not strong enough for you to approve a project that would take over our property access. I'll give you 6 major considerations, but there are more. First of all, nothing was mentioned about the recorded documents from CDOT that fundamentally changed our access through the 8 Corners intersection project. In the recorded AC7 access control deed, CDOT granted us certain rights in exchange for the property that we gave up. Our driveway was around closer to going up north. That was taken away from us. And so they supplemented us with giving us a right-of-way through Pine Street, which was already a plotted town street. This deed closed our direct highway access and created a recorded access arrangement that forces our property into what they recorded as a public street, Pine Street, also our driveway.
May I get a strawberry salad of Poland? Cranberry?
I don't think so.
Wrong number, huh? All right. Second, the town's own recorded annexation plat also recognizes our rights. In 2005, the board approved the Cusick annexation plat, and it was recorded with La Plata County. That plat describes our land as running to the westerly right way of Pine Street. That means the town already recognizes our property as the parcel on the east side of Pine. So whether Pine is called private, public, or private, the town cannot ignore that its own recorded plat recognizes us as the easterly abutting owner and owning half of Pine Street. Third, Ironton's own traffic engineer says the same thing. Their report says Pine Street is a platted town street, and it says the Pine Street right-of-way will be vacated with this project. That report also shows the RV park's northern entrance being built there, with our access being pushed onto a short shared driveway. That is not a minor adjustment. That is turning a street our family uses to access our home into a primary entrance for a much larger commercial project. By the way, this project was done in 2002. Our driveway has been there for the last 24 years and maintained by us. Fourth, the ownership story is not clean either. Newland Drive was already vacated in the plat called Wells' First Amended Plat. This is a 1985 plat. So the original street system has already been altered in important recorded ways. It is recorded as still active. Fifth, the 2022 quitclaim deed referred to you by your legal counsel only transfers whatever interest the named grantors had in Pine Street, Newland Drive, and Wells Street. Just for reference, this parcel was divided into 3 different sections from my grandfather, Keto Wells, Jeannie Wells, and my family, the Cusicks. Even though Kirby Ross signed in behalf of Keto Wells and Jeannie Wells, because Kirby Ross is the trustee of my aunt's Jeannie Wells estate, on the face of that deed, Mike Cusick did not sign as a personal grantor conveying any rights he would have had in the roads. So that deed does not prove that every possible street interest was transferred to Ironton. Sixth, even Ironton's own title insurer would not insure any of these streets. In 2022, Westcourt owner's policy insures certain lots and parcels 5, but it does not cover losses tied to the Wells subdivision plat that created Pine, Newland, and Wells Street. It also does not cover losses tied to the CDOT access control deeds, the Wells survey, or the July 2022 access documents. In other words, Ironton's own title company refused to insure over the very streets and access issues we're talking about tonight. That alone should give you pause. So the central problem is the town is being asked to approve a development that assumes street ownership and access rights are already resolved on the basis that the town never accepted the dedicated streets and therefore Ironton owns all the interests in the streets. But that is certainly not the case, and hopefully you have heard tonight that whether the streets are public or private, the recorded documents not included your legal counsel's memo clearly shows that the Cusicks have legal ownership and access rights that have not been considered. CDOT gave our family recorded access through the 8 Corners project. The town's own annexation plot acknowledges our ownership on the eastern side of Pine. Ironton's own engineers call Pine a platted town street. The quitclaim deed is limited in the interest of the named grantors, and the title insurer would not insure any of these Wells streets. We are not here to say that we can never there can never be a project here, but this is our property access, and approving this project on the record means betting against the documents of the town, state, and Ironton have already signed and recorded. The careful and fair choice is not to approve around unresolved rights. This careful and fair choice is required further investigation before approval. I would also like to add that this will devalue our home and limit the parking when we have family gatherings. I suggest the town do an independent traffic study. I feel for you board members. I know that there are over 500 pages in this packet. Depending on the lawyers to give you accurate information is not a good strategy. I was here February 10th and since have been investigating these issues. I found many half-truths in their letters. Please look thoroughly through the documents and surveys. I have brought many, if not all of these, with me, if you would like to look. I would also like to address Mr. Ross's failure as a trustee. I'm a beneficiary of my aunt's trust. My aunt died in 2013, and Kirby has never gave us the choice to sell the land that we inherited. He has not distributed to my family. My family has spent thousands of dollars trying to keep him accountable He took my rights to sell the property, and he's done other things to devalue the trust. My siblings and cousins never got an option either. Now we have to spend more of our money to defend my property from him. Is this moral? Is a trustee supposed to act in the best interest of the beneficiaries? Or we have found that what he has done is illegal and benefiting himself. He took the position as a trustee to for his own advantage. He has declared that he makes $500 a month from Ironton collecting rents, and I doubt that's the truth. But anyways, thank you for hearing me tonight.
Thank you.
So my name's Tom Geyer. I'm an attorney representing the Cusick family. I'm not going to repeat anything Heidi said, so I'll probably skip around a little bit. Heidi made a statement about the project, I think starting in 2002. I think she meant 2022. Quick clarification on the date there. With respect to the issue brought up regarding conflict of interest with Mr. Ross, I think it was brought up over here that this project was started and then stopped because at the time Ironton didn't own everything and it had to acquire it. What's interesting about that is that Mr. Ross did serve as the trustee of the Roseanne Cusick, trustee of the Jeannie Wells Trust. And when that transaction took place, I believe it was in July of 2022. Mr. Ross had already signed the document along allegedly being a member. Just so you guys know, I've actually taken testimony of Mr. Ross under oath with respect to trust actions. So the issues here that are being brought up, we have good attorneys. You guys have a good attorney, Mr. Mack. The applicant has a good attorney back here in Mr. Eggleston. We don't always agree. That's what attorneys do. That's part of their job. Ultimately, there's been case law cited. There's been lots of stuff happen. When it comes to a determination as to what the law is, that may have to be made by a court. And that determination of the law may not be in compliance with what's being presented to you. I don't know where we're going to go, but going back to what I said about taking sworn testimony from Mr. Ross, he had provided in 2021 a resolution from Ironton for him to serve as an agent as part of this ongoing, basically trying to get the development done, entitlement work, and all of that. But then in July of 2022, he signed a deed where the Cusick family were beneficiaries of a trust. But he signed as trustee of that, transferring property to Ironton. Seems questionable to me. What that happens and where that goes, I know that's not for your determination, but I want to be clear that even though there may not be agreement on whether Pine Street is a public road, not a public road, what the access rights are in terms of easement rights with respect to my client, there's a lot here. And I don't know where this is going to go because I got brought in recently with respect to this access issue, but there's a lot to be considered. And if there are disputes, obviously those will be handled by a court. Thank you, guys.
My name's William Dunn. Been a member of this community for over 20 years. Looking at this project, only question I have is the environmental impact of the local area right here. Less than a quarter of a mile over here, we've got the Pine River. What's going to happen with it? How is that going to be preserved? That's my only question.
My name is Duke Eggleston, 160 East 12th Street, Durango, Colorado. I want to address some of these questions. Shockingly, Mr. Geyer and I are in some agreement here. This is not a matter for this board to address. These issues that were just raised this second is not part of this application. I didn't present earlier. I was going to open myself up to any questions you may have. But there's one glaring fact that hasn't been mentioned tonight that I need this board to understand. The seller of the property to Ironton was the Cusick Trust. The Cusick Trust that owns the property next door was an owner and sold Ironton the property that we're developing now. And so this talk about they're upset about things, it's not the deal that Mike Cusick, the then trustee, the father, made with Ironton. I don't think any of us want to get into the details of the documents that are being discussed. We agree fully with Mr. Mack's conclusions. We have written 4 letters starting last December 16th on this issue, and we feel like we're playing quite a bit of whack-a-mole, that every time we respond to something, some new issue comes up. There has been a new title, but it's not new, but for the reasons raised, I don't even know what technicality was being discussed. We have provided a title policy to the town as part of this application, and it ensures the exterior boundaries of the property. It does not include Pine Street or any of the other streets. And we are in raging agreement with Mr. Mack's conclusions that there is no public street, therefore there's no public street that need be vacated. This is something that appeared on a map. I'd like to point out that the contract between Ironton and the Cusick Trust, the Cusick Trust is now, or their family members are now complaining about, they've been paid. They were paid for this property. It called for a new driveway easement. That was not completed. We all wish it had been. But I've provided these documents to Mr. Mack, and that was the deal. The driveway was always going to be a joint access to this development and was going to have to be relocated. And I'd like to point you guys to this slide. So that shows all of these elements. That shows their existing driveway, the existing property line in red, and the green is the 90-degree intersection that we are going to be building, which will be safe, line up with the Bayfield Parkway. And that is the number of feet that they're driving around. It literally is measured in feet to come back to their existing driveway on our property. So we've done everything we can. We've granted this easement on the plat as the contractual documents said we had to do. We've created a boundary adjustment, that hatched area in the top corner, for them to own, which was the requirement that the Cusick trustee, Mike Cusick, made at the time. And they act like these agreements were never made, these contracts didn't exist. So we are trying our level best to honor every single item that was the deal between the parties. My plea to this board, and the only real request I have, this is not your issue to decide. You do not have to worry about this. The Cusicks have avenues in the courts, just like Mr. Geyer said they do. And so this project should not and need not be delayed in any form or fashion. If they have an easement right or a different claim or think they can stop us, they need to get the judge to say that, not this board. Do you have anything else to add?
All right, any other public speaking?
I have a comment.
Yep. And who are you?
My name is Grant Bigler. I married the oldest Cusick daughter, Tasha Cusick. I've been in the family for 25 years. And been a quasi-Bayfield resident for the last 25 years as we recently visited and a lot of family occasions there. I appreciate you just letting me take a moment. I think a lot of the concerns that I've heard from several, including on the on the board is traffic congestion relating around this project. And as you can see on that today, that's on the screen. Yes, there's been access that they've, made there to the Cusick property, but as many of you can imagine, if that Cusick home is your home, and if many of the new traffic that is occurring is now large RVs, trucks and trailers, commercial access, even if there are 2 lanes to wait for the busyness of holidays, etc., there is a high likelihood that we may not even be able to access our property. It will be completely cut off. We would have to wait for the traffic to pass before we access. That aside, I want to just note the comment that was just made from the attorney. Yes, there's trust issues, that's separate from this, but what the council, I think, does have a responsibility to investigate and understand clearly, although we have submitted documentation to your council Friday, pretty quick turnaround to get an opinion back on Monday afternoon. There are significant documents that the state, the city council, and Ironton have made that surely show that the Cusicks, even in the selling of the property, maintained right of ownership and access to Pine Street. The question is not whether it's public or private. The question that you need to really consider is who has the legal access and right of access to Pine Street, and what does that mean for the development agenda? I strongly encourage you to take some time to consider the filed documents, the recorded documents, and make a determination with that and the rest of the things that I mentioned that significantly can impact our property there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Kirby Ross, and I represent Ironton Holdings on this project. I'm not even going to take time to validate the out-and-out lies that were shared earlier. I'm simply going to state that when Mike Cusick made the deal with Ironton, I was a trustee to one of the sisters. Mike Cusick and Keita Wells, who had married to Ray Wells, all agreed and had asked me to step in and help facilitate the deal. I'm involved with Ironton today because Mike Cusick came to Ironton earlier on and asked if he could sell his piece prior to the probate being finalized because he wanted to settle his estate. Because only 25% was sold at that first, and that was in November 2020, because only 20% of that was sold, I was asked to step in to be the interim manager of the existing, to take care of things until that got done because Ironton didn't want anything to do with the day-to-day of trying to manage that little thing. And I agreed to do that to facilitate the deal with Mike Cusick's full and complete agreement. And now 5 years later, they're trying to change the facts on that. And I don't want to even take time to validate the rest of it. It's disappointing that they're trying to bring drama and victimhood and trying to make the truth relative, but facts are not relative. Facts are facts. Truth is not relative. The truth is the truth, and they're being evaded here. And I'm in the middle. I acknowledge that, but it was with the full understanding and at the request of the people who actually signed the documents, the closing documents, and the contracts. Thank you.
Do we have any other public comment? All right, that closes the public hearing on Lakeside Park use by review preliminary plan. Now we move on to Lakeside Review Park use by review preliminary plan action item. Any comments on the board or discussion?
I guess my question would be to Mr. Mack. Since you've been litigating with them, what's your thought on the process here? Moving forward.
Well, I mean, the process is that, this is up for your decision here tonight. Obviously, the Cusicks are requesting that you table it And I guess my thought is, if you're going to table it, I would only do that for a specific period of time to allow, specific additional documentation to be provided. The memorandum that I wrote was based on what I had available to me. These properties there's a maze of related party transfers that we are not going to all get a clear understanding of here tonight. Based on what I had seen, I feel fairly comfortable with my conclusion that the county did not accept these dedications. I couldn't find any evidence that they had taken any of the affirmative actions that they would need to do so. The Cusicks certainly could have theories to establish an easement over the area where their driveway has been, but no easement currently exists. Therefore, there's no legal bar to Ironton granting the Cusicks an easement. If they wanted to go back and get some different easement, that's what we have courts for. If they want to come and voice their objections to the physical access, whether it's the shape of the driveway or who they have to share it to, they're free to do so, and they have done so. And I think it's up to the board to decide, do you have a clear enough understanding of the situation to move forward and make a decision here tonight.
So do you feel like you've gotten all the documentation you need, or is there anything else that is outstanding?
I mean, to some extent, Ironton's in a position where they have to prove a negative, right? They're trying to prove that the county never did something. I mean, certainly, I don't think these roads were ever physically improved by the county. I mean, that's just a fact based on the the physical layout there. Certainly, the plat was not signed, and I inquired of La Plata County as to whether they had any record of another written acceptance, and the Road and Bridge Department and GIS Department didn't have that. So, that's kind of all the investigation I can do without this thing being litigated in front of a judge. I have not been presented with, and I have not found an event that would constitute an acceptance of that dedication. I think the easement question, obviously the easement question follows that question. The easement question is a little bit, almost easier in that we can, I think, state that there is no record easement, even if the Cusicks would have some theory to establish one if they went to court.
All right, thank you.
And no matter what we do here, they can still go to court and have injunctions to stop projects and things like that.
Well, I don't know how Mr. Geyer would frame that. He's sometimes he's pretty creative sometimes. They could go to court and try to establish an easement over their existing driveway. That's certainly something that they could do.
But like everybody was saying, it's not our decision about the easement. That's not.
Right. The way I view it is Ironton is granting them an easement here if the Cusicks think that easement's insufficient. Again, we have courts where you can file a case to establish that.
Any other questions on the board? Any action?
I would just say, just being a new board member, this is a lot. This is my second meeting, and holy cow. I was presented like a 758-page packet on Friday afternoon. and then another 58-page staff report. I think, when did we get those emails? And then another legal email that was presented at 10 o'clock this morning. So I feel that we need to move to just table this until these legal entities can figure this out amongst themselves. I don't think this is the appropriate forum for those legal matters. And I don't feel that I have enough information to make a decision based upon what I've heard. I do like the project. I do like progress and, things coming into the community. But until these things are figured out, I don't think I would personally be.
Do you have a motion?
I move to table the Lakeside RV park use by review and preliminary plan in order to allow for additional legal clarification regarding ownership and access rights with these streets, including a formal title analysis and town attorney review.
Does anybody want to second that?
I think Mr. Mack has a question.
Well, couple interrelated things. I think we need to be, kind of clear about what the scope of this is.
Yeah.
I mean, which party is going to provide me with what, and then when are we going to come back to address it? I guess I would suggest that if the issue that's weighing on your mind is the acceptance of the dedication, I think that would be, I think that would be on the Cusicks at this point to provide evidence of how that was accepted. If they claim there's an easement, I think, they would need to show me that as well. So I just want it to be. I want us to be able to move forward. If you're going to table it, I want us to be able to move forward at the next hearing and not, be back having the same arguments.
No, I agree. I think you have enough time if we tabled it to the next meeting. Any additional information brought, you would have time to look at it and present it to the board. So I would second the motion to table it until the next meeting.
So this is a motion to table it until our attorney gives us a report before the next meeting? Is that what
That would
this
be
is?
2 weeks. Is that? Do you need a month?
Yeah.
I think the Cusicks attorney has suggested that he's certain he could get me, any information they have within a month. So maybe we'd table it until June 2nd, again, to make sure that we're in a position to actually make a decision at that meeting and we're not considering tabling it again.
All right, so my understanding is we're tabling it till, when's June 2nd. And we're gonna wait for a report from our attorney.
Well, maybe if we got it a little bit sooner and he gave us the okay that we could call a special session too, that is also an option. But, I think a month is fair, so.
I think realistically,
I think we can have you the same by that Tuesday after the 26th, after the Monday. We're going to be a week.
I kind of want them to have time to review as well. I don't want.
21st, Thursday?
21st sounds good. Okay, so you'll get me information by the 21st. I will write a revised memorandum, and then it'll be tabled to June 2nd on that understanding. If you want to make that motion.
Do you want to make that motion to June 2nd?
Yes, I move to table the Lakeside RV park use by review and preliminary plan to June 2nd in order to allow for additional legal clarification regarding ownership of the access rights associated with these streets that we've been talking about in a formal title analysis.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Trustee Nyberg,
Yes.
Trustee Taylor,
Yes.
Trustee Ackerman,
Recuse.
Trustee Trujillo,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes. All right. Since we're cruising along right here, we're going to take a 5-minute break, recess.
No, well, just for a minute, I'll leave. We're going to open the meeting back up and move on to the public hearing for Clover Meadows preliminary plan PUD. And you can run the meeting again because I was at the planning commission for this one too.
Was I there?
Not the most recent one,
No, not the most recent one.
No, you were,
I was
one a couple months ago, but not the last.
Okay.
Not really discussing it.
So I'm safe.
You were just at the first preliminary plan that we called the sketch plan process.
That was the preliminary plan.
Yeah, right.
All right. Public hearing, Clover Meadows preliminary plan. Who wants to do? All right.
Okay, yeah. Derek Slocum, town planner. Yeah, so we got Clover Meadows preliminary plan PUD project 2026-03. CMR Southwest Properties is requesting a preliminary plan approval on the property located at 750 Orchard Drive. On September 4th, 2018, the Bayfield Board of Trustees approved Ordinance 418, rezoning tracts B and C from single-family R10 to multifamily. The site is currently vacant and was historically used for agricultural purposes. The project is an extension of the Clover Meadows subdivision with prior phases completed in recent years. The applicant is proposing a preliminary plan, planned unit development for 59 townhome units, including associated infrastructure, access, utilities, and open space areas. The Clover Meadows subdivision has been developed in multiple phases, with Phase 7 completed in 2019. The applicant submitted a preliminary plan PUD application with supporting materials, including drainage, traffic, and engineering reports. Staff and reviewing agencies have provided comments, and the applicant has responded with revisions included in the submittal. The project has been through one review iteration back in 2023, and it was found to be non-compliant, and then it was resubmitted in October of 2024. Concerns regarding compliance were found, and the project was once again resubmitted in October of 2025. Additional concerns were brought up regarding parking and traffic when the project was heard by the Planning Commission in December of 2025. At that meeting, a vote of no action was approved by the Planning Commission. Then the Clover Meadows Phase 8 sketch plan was heard again at the January 13th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting, and the applicant made many revisions to address the concerns of the Planning Commission, and they did recommend approval of that sketch plan by a vote of 7-0. The case was then heard by the Board of Trustees on January 20th, 2026, and it was approved by a vote of 5-1. So the new project submittal proposes the construction of 10 buildings consisting of 59 townhomes. The project could be built in 6 phases. The townhomes will consist of 2 to 3 bedroom units with private patio spaces, pedestrian entrances with access through a network of public and private streets, alleyways, sidewalks, and 2-car garages with shared private drives connecting to the public right-of-way of Orchard Drive, or the public right-of-way dedication of Orchard Drive and Sunflower Lane. The private drives will be owned and maintained by the HOA. Orchard Drive and Sunflower Lane will be connected within a 60-foot right-of-way dedication through the site. The development will include parking consisting of 143 off-street, which is garages and parking area spaces, and 56 designated on-street parking spaces. We kind of went through the whole preliminary plan review process with the Lakeside Bayfield, but the reports that are needed for this submittal would be a traffic impact report, road plans, profiles, preliminary drainage report, geotechnical report,
utility infrastructure analysis report, utility plans, preliminary landscape plans, street lighting plan, and any appropriate environmental clearances. Now, for the zoning review, the PUD, per the land use code, plan unit developments, they shall be reviewed under section 5.8. The applicant is requesting flexibility from certain zoning and subdivision standards, which is allowed for plan unit development. So a reduction of setbacks from 10 feet from 20 feet, reduced parking ratio, 2.4 spaces per unit, required would be 2.5, reduced utility easement widths from 15 to 10 feet, and modifying some of the lot sizes and widths. Let's see here. So for the comprehensive plan review, in general, it's anticipated that high-density residential classifications that consist of single-family and duplex uses with an average density of 8.5 residential units per acre. Multifamily uses in this area, such as townhomes, condos, etc., should average approximately 20 residential units per acre. The proposal is for townhomes at a proposed density of 10.5 units per acre, so that density falls right between the average of the densities recommended in the comp plan. And so this request does help accomplish the following comprehensive plan goals. Goal 2, encouraging infill development near services. Goal 4, diversifying housing types. And Goal 20, providing parks and recreation for residences. The sketch plan and preliminary plan was sent out to the following review referral agencies, and comments were received from the agencies that responded back, and they are attached and included in the applicant's response. The most recent preliminary plan, I haven't gotten all the reviews or all the comments back. We're still in the process of that, and I will update as we go along, but all of the comments that were taken in from the sketch plan have been addressed. Let's get to the end, shall we? We've already gone through a lot of that in regards to the process with the Lakeside RV. So staff is recommending approval of the Clover Meadows Phase 8 preliminary plan PUD, subject to the conditions that can be found on page 6 of the staff report. And the recommendation is based on the findings starting on that page 6. You have some, I should say possible motions, not recommendations, but possible motions there on page 7 of the staff report. Again, follows what we normally do here with the trustees. You can either approve, deny, table, or remand it back to the planning commission for further hearing. So the applicant is here also to present his case, and I can take any questions as well.
Thank you, staff. My name is Kelton McCoy. I live at 550 Buck Highway here in Bayfield. I want to thank staff for the hard work in the staff report. I want to thank you trustees for being here, and specifically the new trustee members. Thank you for sacrificing your time to make this community a better place. With that being said, and in conjunction with staff, this project meets all housing goals in the comp plan, is zoned appropriately, is within range for town services and utilities, meets all of the preliminary plan requirements, which is what we are here to meet tonight. This project also provides a much needed fill in the workforce housing, which you guys heard Brad Blake touch on a little bit earlier today, which they are 100% sold out on homes for workforce housing, such as this project. For the trustees who have seen this project before, the only thing that's been updated is that we actually improved our drainage. We increased the size of the pond, and we're actually reducing the amount of drainage that comes off of this site currently, and that will go into the existing storm manufactured facilities there to the south of us. For the trustees who have not seen this application yet, just a reminder, this is the 5th time that we've been in front of boards, and we've been more than adversary to work with both the public and the board. So with that being said, we added more parking. As you can see, there's additional 13 parking stalls that are perpendicular to the street that service only residents, as well as the parking stalls around our public amenities there for our residents. We also added more green space than initial, and we added more buffering from the residential properties that border us to the south.
which is a reason for the PUD request, as mentioned by Derek. We reduced the setbacks throughout the site to give more of a cushion there on the south portion, to give a buffer to those residents and the neighbors to the south. We understood that there were concerns with parking and drainage, and we feel like we've gone above and beyond both code and this portion of the review. So our engineers are here today, and we as the applicant accept the staff report and all conditions that come along with it, and we encourage the Board of Trustees to approve this application. So thank you for your time very much.
Thank you. Any public input?
Hi, Mary Benson. I am impacted by the development because I'm right next to it on Lupine. I'm the second home there next to Espinoza. So I have mentioned this before, and I want to just mention again for the record. Clover Meadows 5-6 did a paid for a plan to show where property lines are and where the irrigation lines run. And I provided that to the developer. I don't see it ever mentioned really officially, but it looks like where they're going to extend Sunflower, some of the lines kind of go under the ground and they go right behind the homes on Lupine. So what I'm noticing, what I've heard in the plans are that there's a 10-foot easement behind Lupine homes and then to the new development. And I think that's great. There's a retaining wall, there's greenery and different things like that to help with the separation between the taller two-story buildings behind us and then the, the lower profile homes. We have had a lot of, we've had a lot of water. We've had the end of Lupine Drive, those two homes were flooded. We've been in drought, so, and the town mediated that. They put storm drains in at the end of Lupine, but we're kind of at the top. And so in the plan, it mentions that there is expansive soils and steep slopes coming from the RV park, or it's not RV, it's mobile home area at the top. And so I'm still concerned about, I know they're doing lots of irrigation at the end, right? I see the pond. I know that they're doing slopes and they're doing some covers where the water will go down into the ground. I just know there's a high water table. I know that the last big rain we had, my crawl space was completely filled with water. So I'm a little concerned about that part. So I just want to say it on the record that I'm hoping that everything goes well, but I'm still concerned. And I'm still concerned about the irrigation lines and just making sure that I know that they'll fix it if they break them, but I would rather they not break them. Okay.
Thank you. Any other public input? All right. All right.
I just have a quick question. Did we address that irrigation concern?
Mr. Engineer.
Did you adequately address that concern?
So I'm Chris Hawkins. I live in Clover. I did most of the design on this. As far as the irrigation goes, we're aware of it is. Mary did give me a copy of the survey that's related to that, but they also had a survey done and the lines are shown. They are right along the property line. You can actually see them sticking out at their fence, which was the whole reason for the irrigation easement, and also to put the wall 10 feet away so that basically we could hold it all at grade so they could do any maintenance that they needed there. It is true that there are irrigation lines that will cross Sunflower. With any construction, there is a possibility that they could break it. The road is going to be at or slightly above the existing grade, so I don't know that we're going to do, an extensive amount of work there as far as digging goes, but we do have to put rock in underneath the asphalt and everything. So there's a possibility there, but I don't know, they're pretty good at it. I mean, you can go in and hydrovac it and find the depths, so you get the exact location and depth, and that helps the excavators deal with it. So that's a big part of it. As far as addressing the drainage, a lot of that has already been talked about. But I've pretty much set it up to where even if all these inlets were to plug, that just flowing across the ground, like it may fill up to the curb depth or whatever, and if it fail, it still all flows gravity to the pond, not into the neighbor's property. So my hope is to help them, not hurt them. And then there's also the possibility that the irrigation canal may be leaking water that way, which could possibly contribute to a low water table, but I don't know that for sure. But what I was going to say is, as part of doing the excavation over there, we're piping all of that irrigation along the property line now. So I think that we've addressed all of those issues, and I hope that they'll help their situation, not hurt it. If that helps.
I do have one more question, and that's about the easement there that we're talking about. Who's maintaining that? Who's going to keep it maintained?
So this gets outside of my realm, but the HOA would be responsible for maintaining their own property. The easement is just so that they have the ability to access that part of the property to do the work that they need to do.
All right, thank you. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Huh? Yeah, we're going to close the public, and we're going to move on to Clover Meadows preliminary plan PUD action item. Any questions?
Yeah, I would like to say, I can appreciate going through the process the last couple of years with all the turnover in town staff. So thank you guys for working with the town and coming to this point. And seeing that the engineers have done their due diligence and the planning commission's done their due diligence and voted to pass this, I'll motion to approve this as recommended by staff with the conditions provided.
I'd second that.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Ackerman?
Yes.
Trustee Trujillo?
Yes.
And Mayor Pro Tem Lyon.
Yes. And with that, we'll bring the mayor back on. Consent agenda.
Did I explain the consent agenda last time to you guys, to the new board members?
Not that I remember. No, I don't think so.
So this is a meeting where the consent agenda is pretty light, and kind of did that a little bit on purpose because I wanted to take some time to explain it to you guys a little bit. So things on the consent agenda are things you're going to see typically every meeting. You're going to see minutes, you're going to see expenditures. It's just basic rules of board approval. So things on the consent agenda, it is up to you guys. If you guys would like to remove something to have more discussion, you can certainly motion that. You can also approve a consent agenda even if there is a modification you would like to see on there. So on this round, it's 2 standard meeting operations with the meeting minutes from our last meeting, as well as the Finance Department's April 2026 expenditures.
So yeah, if there's anything that you wanted, any board member wanted to discuss that was on the consent agenda, you can just basically make a motion to have that removed and we'll address it separately. Otherwise, everything else is getting passed as a whole.
Okay.
Okay. So up is the consent agenda for Board of Trustees meeting minutes for April 21st and the April 26th expenditures. What's the pleasure of the board?
I have a motion that we approve it.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg,
Yes.
Trustee Taylor,
Yes.
Trustee Lyon,
Yes.
Trustee Ackerman,
Yes.
Trustee Trujillo,
Yes.
and Mayor Ah.
Yes. On to the action agenda, resolution number 669, officer appointments.
So last meeting, you guys elected Trustee Lyon as the Mayor Pro Tem, and I told you you'd be seeing this the next meeting. These are the officer appointments. Also included in there is Town Manager Waters, myself, Finance Director Kathy Cathcart, and Mr. Mack, sorry, it's getting late, the Town Attorney on that resolution I wrote. So talking with Manager Waters, we would like to do these, and it kind of makes sense to do it after our board changes, right? So board changes out, does state and town code, needs to be done periodically, and it's just a good way for kind of you guys to appoint and see your team that you've inherited as well.
Does the board have any questions?
Nope.
Looking for motion?
We're doing these individually?
No,
Yes. Yes.
I'll motion to approve the officer appointments as presented in resolution number 669.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg,
Yes.
Trustee Taylor,
Yes.
Trustee Lyon,
Yes.
Trustee Ackerman,
Yes.
Trustee Trujillo, and Mayor Ah.
Yes. Next is resolution 670, bank signatory authority.
Under direction from the Board of Trustees, there's a resolution before you to, also goes along with the board change up to kind of reassign the bank signatory authority with the loss of Trustee Katzos. So Mayor Ah and Town Manager Waters would remain on there. And then the resolution would be adding myself and Mayor Pro Tem Lyon. So we have backup for people who can sign checks.
I make a motion that we accept resolution 670.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg,
Yes.
Trustee Taylor,
Yes.
Trustee Lyon,
Yes.
Trustee Ackerman,
Yes.
Trustee Trujillo,
Yes.
and Mayor Ah.
Yes. Board appointments to committees.
Right, so I'm on a roll, so I'm going to keep going here. So board appointments, we talked a little bit about this last meeting. There are some governmental partners that have meetings, and some of them require and/or suggest that board members take part in. Since Trustee Nyberg has the seniority of that group, I'm asking, did you want to stay on with Southwest TPR?
Yep.
Okay. We also have the RHA, which is the Regional Housing Authority. They do a lot of work with workforce housing, things of that nature. Little bit of economic development, but we'll touch on that later. We also have the La Plata Economic Alliance, which does a lot of work bringing businesses, and they have a catalyst fund that helps start businesses and things of that nature. And we also have Region 9, which is the cog of the area. And Region 9 does all sorts of stuff. That's great for the community. They get broadband funding, things of that nature, and they really help keep us going. They also do things along the lines of transportation, work with Roadrunner and places like that. So,
Go ahead, John.
And Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees, generally what we've had in the past and what we have continued to do through the last council, and this goes back several managers, is we generally have a Board of Trustee member on each of these 4 different committees, and one of the staff, it's usually the manager, serves as kind of a backup in case one of the counselors cannot go to that. So currently, for example, the RHA, they right now, as far as the different items that are there, I kind of serve as the backups for the RHA, and I attend those on a regular basis, but that was a position I believe that former trustee Moreland had, I believe. She sat as that member, so we need to fill that. We need to fill the Economic Alliance as well, and I believe that was also former trustee Moreland. I sit as the backup for that. And then the last one is Region 9. I actually sit as the member of the board of that, but we still also have an elected official as well. That was Trustee Katsos, I believe, that was former Trustee Katsos sat on that position. So essentially we need, with Trustee Nyberg on the TTR, we still need 3 members of the Board of Trustees to sit in these particular positions. And in these positions, you would be, there's not a lot of travel involved in it. A lot of times we go over to Durango. Sometimes they move around. RHA actually moves their meetings around. We actually have the last one here in the town of Bayfield. We've had one in Ignacio, we have them in Durango. So those might require you to drive to one of the areas, but none of these really, other than maybe Region 9, on occasion. Most of the time Region 9 also meets down in but on occasion they may go to one of the other areas of Region 9, which is a larger county area. So it could go all the way to, say, Silverton or down to Ignacio or over to Cortez, or they're kind of all in that Region 9. It's a little bit bigger area. They used to call that the Council of Governments years ago. So if you ever hear the COG, this was that group as well. Again, we would appreciate any volunteers in those areas, and I certainly will definitely try to make sure that any trustee that gets in those spots is brought up to speed on what they're doing at what times. And we do participate actively in all 4 of these organizations. They're all kind of quasi-government or nonprofit with a government or that heavy government influence on it. So it's our ability to interact with our neighboring governments and make sure that our interests are kept, at the head of the pack. Economic development is a big one because they got me, and I come from economic development, so I'm going to be really pushing for basic economic development, which in the past it's always kind of just been one group doing it that's been interested. Now myself, and I think the one from the manager from Ignacio is also pretty aggressive in that. So having a member on that would be somebody that might be interested in economic development, doing things for specifically for Bayfield, because obviously what Durango doesn't always benefit us. So we would like to have somebody for tailored for Bayfield. So that's one of the things that one of the reasons why it's good to be on that board, because it is they do have the ability to bring things in, and they, as was mentioned, they get grants and things. So like the latest one that probably you may have read or you sat in meetings, you've heard that we got this area was awarded a large grant for childcare. So that was from the Alliance. They actually did the grant for us on that, and they're working with Beef right now, and that's trying to put in some additional childcare options for folks here.
Thanks, Sean. I'll make it easy, and I can tentatively volunteer on the Economic Alliance. I just got to do some diligence on scheduling and make sure that I don't have conflicts with their normally scheduled meetings. But I could jump in on that one, assuming that works. So.
And Mr. Mayor, trustees understand that we'll also get to their schedule for the regular meetings as well. They sometimes change, but for the most part, it's generally the same time every month.
So maybe you can get us that, and we can determine some of these at the next meeting.
I can definitely do that. And if you do have interest, though, ahead of time, and you make your decision that you are interested, or if there are 2 interested in or whatever, one might be able to do the schedule, one might not be able to do that. But I know, for example, the Economic Alliance is coming in for our members. So the sooner you decide, the better. I certainly am happy to provide you with their schedules now, and you want to decide at the next meeting. But if you're interested now,
I'd have to know what the schedules are. Just you know, meeting dates and that type of thing before I could commit to anything.
Okay, we'll definitely get that to all of you. You can
Well,
determine.
he's gonna jump on the economic one, so we got that.
Yeah, I'm assuming,
And trustee Nyberg already attends the transportation Southwest DPR, so when they do meet, they kick it down the road a lot, but when they do meet, trustee Nyberg's already been attending that, so he's kind of familiar with that. So that would lead the
RHA.
the RHA and the
Region 9.
the Region 9, so those would be the two. Region 9 is also economic development, it's a broader economic development related item, so that's something to be considered.
When do they meet?
When do they meet?
Yeah, if he-
They meet once a month. I'll need to get the schedule for you on that, but most of these meet once a month.
All right.
The RHA is the same way, although sometimes they have little side meetings for specific things. So if your town is going to get a grant, working together, say with the Homes Fund, they may say, hey, this is affecting your town, would you like to meet? And it's usually on Zoom, it's usually not a big deal when it's something like that. It's their monthly board meetings that you'll have to go and attend in those different areas if you're on the RHA. So.
Okay.
But I will get the other two schedules to the remainder of the members, and there's some who think that you can bring up the next meeting.
Okay.
Are these positions paid and/or is there travel reimbursement for any of this?
There is only one that provides travel reimbursement, and that's the Region 9 folks, I believe. They're the only ones that provide that. You know, they're not paid, they're volunteer positions, so that's pretty much how most of them are.
Is it like required of the town
To attend that, well.
to attend any of these?
The RHA, we are actually a co-signer on that, as a quasi-governmental board, so, yes, we have a spot that we are obligated to provide somebody to. So, yes, there are some of those, but the other ones are not. If you decide you don't want to, the town doesn't want to participate in one, you can certainly just boycott or, abstain from putting anybody on that board. But we do participate in those four on a regular basis, so we see benefits from all four of those. So it's kind of an investment, kind of what it takes, but when we put some time into it, it does pay back to the town. And that doesn't mean we can't carpool or whatever, if we need to run over there, we do that too.
Depending on schedule, I'm being drawn to like the region there, so put me down for that one tentatively.
And I know Sarah right now is working on getting you guys those dates and times. I did ask her to do that last week.
Okay, move on to Resolution 671, hazard mitigation.
So every 5 years, well, usually it's supposed to be 5 years, they update the hazard mitigation plan. I think the last one was in 2018, but this is something that we adopt every time there's an update. Quick background, Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 requires local governments to adopt a FEMA-approved hazard mitigation plan so that we can remain eligible for federal hazard mitigation grant funding, including the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities, and the Flood Mitigation Assistance. The town of Bayfield participates in the La Plata County multi-jurisdictional planning effort. The hazard mitigation plan must be updated every 5 years, and the 2025 update reflects the current hazard data, development patterns, climate conditions, and mitigation priorities. Planning Commission moved to approve the adoption with one condition, and that's to have them update their contact information since there's been a lot of turnover when this thing was finalized. I believe it was Nicole was the planner that they have on there, and I want to say Katie was the town manager, so I will get in contact and see if they can go about changing that. But other than that, it's just pretty much straight up adoption of Resolution 671.
And we need to change the signature line. It's for the mayor pro tem. I don't have a reason not to sign it.
I will get that changed.
Yeah, I was confused.
I figured that. Does
But
board have any-
other than that, I'll make that change, and yes.
I motion we approve this, the 671,
I second.
With the changes.
with the changes.
Can you second that again?
I second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Lyon?
Yes.
Trustee Ackerman?
Yes.
Trustee Trujillo?
Yes.
And Mayor Hall.
Yes. Formal review of Town of Bayfield wastewater discharge permit.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Trustees. Sorry for the late addition to the board meeting. If you guys are aware, most wastewater treatment facilities all have a discharge permit that governs anything that we reintroduce after treatment back into the stream or the river for secondary users. The town of Bayfield's been operating since 2019 on an old permit, and they finally renewed it. So we got it last Thursday. We took a look at it, and it's rather comprehensive. There's some testing schedule that are identified in the discharge permit, and in internal discussion, we feel it would be appropriate to have it reviewed by a compliance team. Sorry I didn't get you a summary memo over here, but I did get the plumber, basically scope of work for the review. They're looking at not to exceed $25,000 for a formal review of about a 132-page document. And those review comments we would provide back to the state objective. So when we were looking at this, there's about 2.5 extra pages of sampling in the sampling schedule. So just to put that in context, our total budget in 2025 for sampling at the wastewater facility for third-party sampling, that's Green Analytical or La Plata County Health, was about $11,000. We're estimating with the current sampling schedule that we have, that could more than double. So you're probably looking at going from about $10,000 to $11,000 to closer to $20,000. The acrylamide samples we just did 2 months ago were $800 a piece, and those are quarterly in this. We were hoping to get your approval for formal review from a compliance specialist to maybe see if we could reduce some of that cost in the sampling provided from the state. So I could answer any questions if you guys had questions in regards to that. There's some new things in there. There's some PFAS regulations. There's some heavy metals that we didn't see before, mercury, iron, manganese, those things. We've tested those before annually to come back non-detect. We feel that maybe it's a little bit too comprehensive necessarily for the quality of water that we're reintroducing back into the river. So that's where the formal request for the engineering dollars is coming from.
Is Plumber someone we've worked with already?
Yeah. Plumber's done, they actually built the addition to our treatment facility. They've been doing the Reg 85 and nutrient removal stuff for us for the tribe, and then also establishing the nitrate credits. So this is an engineering firm that we use specifically for water and wastewater treatment.
Okay, yeah, obviously that's a niche. So
Yeah.
it's not easy to just go out and get a bunch of bids for. I can understand that.
Yeah, and it's time sensitive. Kind of that email went out on Monday in regards to changing this. The state's only given us 2 weeks to supply objective comments back to them in regards to this before it goes to public. So that's why I was like, crap,
That's
it's kind of.
25,000.
Well, yeah, you figure that adds up quick at, say $200 an hour for an engineer. That's 80 hours, 100 hours, that's, a week and a half.
So let's say we spend all 25,000 on this review. Do we have the potential to save more than that, or are we spending 25,000 to save 10?
Well, if we spend the $25,000 and we can keep our testing sample protocol at $10,000, then that's what we're married to for the next 10 years. So we've been operating on the same permit for the last 11 years. If our testing goes up to $25,000, say $30,000, then we're paying $30,000 for the next 10 years. And so that potentially could impact the rates that we're charging our customers in regards to operational costs. So there's a direct correlation with those lab fees that we're seeing and potentially rate increases is why we're hoping to get objective comments from a third-party compliance specialist and an engineering company, provide those to the state, and see if we can't reduce some of the, but a lot of it's a monetary burden that we're going to see, so you'll see some of those fees in the budget double if we do get this larger comprehensive testing schedule.
So this is the best option we have to try to reduce that cost at this point.
Yeah, me and my lead operator, we looked through it Thursday and Friday. We already spoke with Manager Waters, so last Friday I forwarded it over to Steve with Plummer. He does a lot of our treatment engineering, and Monday is when he called back and said, this is pretty far out, but there's, which they are. PFAS is a big thing that they're testing for all throughout the state. So there's some other requirements in there. Acrylamide's a big one that's a super expensive test. They have limits set on that. They don't want us reintroducing that into the stream, which, a lot of it makes sense. They're protecting everybody's water quality. But we believe that maybe some of the substances that they want us to do weekly testing that are non-detect, that we have history for 15 years, maybe we don't necessarily need to be doing those tests if we could show them a 15-year history of sampling schedule that we don't have that. So that's what we're hoping to do with this review. And we're trying to squeeze it's time sensitive, so that's why we have it for you tonight. And for the new trustees, it's over $10,000, so anything that you see expenditure-wise that's over $10,000 is coming to you guys for approval. So, I'm only authorized up to 5, manager to 10. So if it's 11,000, we will be bringing it to you guys for that decision.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees, this is basically our chance that the state gives us to knock this stuff out before it goes before the formal public hearing process. So if we get the opportunity to go in there, and this would be any permit conditions that we have. If we have what they mean objective, if we have facts that show that this stuff is not in the water, and we've got 15 years of data to prove that, that's an objective fact that we can provide to these folks. But, and it's one thing for operators to put that in writing and send it to them. It's another thing to go through a company like this that evaluates these things on a regular basis. This company actually has a member of the DPHE, a former member, that's on their staff that evaluates it. So there's actually a former state employee that used to do this for a living that will evaluate it. And obviously, we don't want it in there if it's not, if there's a real reason for it to be in there, we're not going to fight that. But if we have some facts and we have some professionals that are going to go forward and say that and get it taken out before the public process, that saves us some time and money, because if it stays in there during the public process, we're all going to be back going to the hearings and saying, hey, there's a real reason why we shouldn't have this in here. And, I think it's much easier if we can knock it out now than if we have to go through the big public process, which will be the next step in this permit.
And the reason that we have the one quote from Plummer is they have the history in regards to the wastewater treatment facility readily available. And I think having that information rather than us trying to gather 15 years of information and ship it to somebody for review, this will be an expedited process. And we've used them with good results in the past as well.
Makes sense. You want a reputable professional in that situation for sure, so I'd motion to approve, well, it's not a resolution, but a motion to approve the Plummer estimate up to $25,000 or not to exceed $25,000 as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Lyon?
Yes.
Trustee Ackerman?
Yes.
Trustee Trujillo? And Mayor Ah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Board of Trustees, reports and requests for future agenda items and committees. I don't have any.
Go ahead.
I don't have anything at this time. Trustee Lyon,
I've got nothing.
Trustee Nyberg,
Nope, welcome to the new board. That's all I got.
Trustee Taylor,
I don't have anything today.
Trustee Ackerman.
Yeah, I just wanted to let y'all know I'll be out for the July 7th meeting with pre-planned obligation there. And then I just want to iterate that as a community member and someone been involved in planning commission and trustees over last boards, I just want to say that I hold myself to a high standard in recusing myself if there's a conflict or an appearance of a conflict. And I think we all need to have a high standard in that regard going forward. And we shouldn't expect to comment at public hearings or community meetings, showing bias for or against anything with the expectation of hearing any hearing with due process and providing due process there. So I'd just like to see that bar raised from some of the things I've seen, and also would like to, being a small town with frequent quorum issues, just not in my experience, but others as well, if there's any way we can try to head off these quorum issues before they happen, before we have applicants noticing in things and wasting town staff's time noticing on things, and maybe have some advance, be looking out at the schedule, you know, 1 or 2 meetings out, and have a plan if we have a quorum issue that we can address it instead of having to keep tabling things. We can be proactive and apply alternate members if we need to. That's just something I would like to see, and maybe we can discuss in the future, but I think there's some quorum issues we'll be dealing with in that regard that we can maybe learn from and apply and be more efficient.
Trustee Trujillo?
I just want to say there was a lot of talk about supporting local businesses, and I truly believe in that. So if there's any way in the future that we can just continue to support local and keep the money local and support our small family businesses, I am all about that. So that's all I want to say.
And Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees, that's not something that we ignore here, but there is state statute that requires us, when it's dealing with state tax monies, particularly sales tax monies, that we have to go with the lowest quote. So that's why we went with that. We don't have a choice in that. I don't look at it.
It's law.